Hey guys, it's Anna. Welcome back to my channel. Today is a very gloomy day outside, so I thought I'm gonna bring you some spring book recommendations in which I talk about books that I like to read during the springtime. On a normal spring day, I like to pick up some lighter books that deal with some difficult subjects. So today I prepared 5 book recommendations for you that follow those guidelines, and without further ado, let's get to them. First up, I wanted to talk about The Curious Incident of the Dog at the Night Time by Mark Haddon. So this is a mystery novel, but it's not your regular mystery novel. It is written from the perspective of 15-year-old Christopher, who has the Asperger disease. So the whole book is written from his perspective. So the whole plot of the story revolves around a dog who has been murdered, and Christopher is trying to find out who was the person who killed that dog. This book takes Christopher to many places, but most of all, we as readers, we get to see how Christopher's brain works and the things that he thinks about, and the way that some things that we are probably not focusing so much on, but for him these are the very important things. It is such a short read, but it's so impactful. I think for me it was very interesting to see how a person's brain works. These people function in a completely different ways, and I think it was really great to see. So yeah, definitely highly recommend that. You're gonna fly through it as well, and it is really enjoyable and interesting. Okay, the next book that I wanted to mention here is The Keeper of the Lost Cities by Ruth Hogan. And this is a story about Anthony, who throughout his life he's been collecting lost objects, such as lost puzzle pieces that he found on the street, or lost earrings, all of the lost items that he found during his lifetime. When Anthony dies, he leaves his house and all the lost things that he's collected throughout his life for his keeper, Laura. In order for Laura to keep Anthony's house, she's been given a task to return as many of the lost items to the people that lost them as possible. So we follow Laura as she embarks on this quest of returning these lost items to people. While she's doing that, she's uncovering herself, but also a story about Anthony's life. This is such a feel-good story. It is written in a very accessible way, in a very nice and smooth writing style. This is a story about love, pain, and finding a hope in life and finding the strength to move forward. It is a bright story. It has really great representation in it. It has really nice representation of a Down syndrome in it as well, and I think it is definitely worth picking up. The next book that I wanted to talk to you about is The Guernsey Literature. The Guernsey Literary and Potato Peel Pile Society. Very long title, but it is essentially what the title suggests. The story takes place in 1946, and we follow an author, Juliet, who doesn't know what to write her new novel about. During Second World War, Juliet has been writing books to uplift the British people, so they were really funny, very satirical novels, and now that the war is over, she doesn't know what to write about. Accidentally, she receives a fan letter from Dowsey, who lives in Guernsey, and he mentions how he loves her books and that one of her books was part of the literary society. Juliet is really intrigued about the society and how it came to life. That's how the friendship between Juliet and Dowsey unfolds. They write letters to each other. Dalsey explains to Juliet about Guernsey and about the German occupation of Guernsey, which is one of the Channel Islands, and how the life looked like on the island during the German occupation. As the letters fly back and forth, Juliet realizes that the secret society that is being talked about in here is as much extraordinary as its name suggests. It is such a feel-good book, even though it talks about some difficult times, because it talks about the Second World War, shortage of food, German occupation. It is still a really positive read. It shows how people still can have fun and make the best out of the worst situation if they want to. So I really recommend this one. The whole book is written in the form of letters, and you can fly through the whole book really quickly. I think the characters are charming and they're very charismatic. Juliet is a fantastic protagonist. She's so funny, so adorable, but also really intelligent, same as Dalsey that she's corresponding with. So I think it's a really good story, really interesting concept, and I highly recommend it. The next book that I wanted to talk to you about is Persepolis by Marjane Satrapi. This is actually an autobiographical graphic novel. It talks about Satrapi's childhood and then early adulthood as she grows up in Iran during the Islamic Revolution. So we follow Marjane as she grows up in a very Marxistic family, and how her life had to be changed and how her point of view had to be adjusted because of the political situation that she finally found herself in. In general, this book is extremely funny, full of funny anecdotes, but also the author, even as a child, she was so intelligent and so strong-minded. I think she's really a great character to follow around. In general, this book paints a brutal picture of how a daily life looked like in Iran during the Islamic Revolution. What this book does the best is describing the tragedy of the whole country through a history of one person, and I think it's a very important read, but also it's so much fun. It's a graphic novel, so you're gonna read through it really quickly, but it's one of those stories that sticks with you and what makes you think as well. So definitely something that I would recommend picking up, especially in this time. And finally, the last book that I wanted to talk to you about today is the very well-known and very well-loved Ready Player One by Ernest Cline. This is a science fiction novel. We follow a world in the future, and in this novel, everything is kind of computerized, but in a way that people still live in their houses, but they do everything online in a virtual world called Oasis. So kids go to school in the Oasis, so they put just their VR goggles and they go to school without leaving their house. Everything's happening in the Oasis, so people can play games in the Oasis, but also it's just a regular life that's happening in the schools, happening in the cinemas, happening in the everything. Most of human interactions are happening through the Oasis. People are so obsessed with the virtual reality that they spend most of their time in there. No one really does anything else in a real life, face to face. This book picks up when the founder of the Oasis dies, and he leaves behind a chain of clues and riddles for people to follow, and the person who is able to get to the end and solve all the riddles and the puzzles that he's prepared will be the person who inherits his fortune, which is unimaginable. We follow a teenager who decides to go for it because he's already such a big fan of the creator. He's read all the books, watched all the documentaries about his life, and he decides to get onto that quest and tries to win. This book is such a wonderful thing for everyone who loves pop culture and who loves specific things that may be called nerdy, let's say. I think pop culture is such a big part of this book. On almost every single page we see some kind of reference either to the 80s music or to a specific book or to a movie or to a video game or to some kind of tech thing, and it is really great, especially if you're interested in any of those things. And I think for me it was really great to read about very popular books and very popular movies which found their way into the pop culture and have influenced the way people communicate or people see the world now. And it was just such a fun book. It was really great being on the quest with our main character. I had so much fun trying to figure out the clues together with the characters, and I think it was just such a feel-good thing. It was also a big throwback to the olden days, a throwback to my childhood. Such a fun ride, and highly recommended. This one is gonna pull you right in and you won't be able to put it down until you finish it. Alright guys, so these are all the book recommendations that I wanted to talk to you about today. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel for some more bookish content. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you again with another video soon. Bye!